third generation Mexican American born in the United States. And my parents, my dad grew up in Little Mexico of Dallas, Texas. My mom grew up a bit outside of a town in Calvert, outside of San Antonio. And they grew up in a time that was kind of rough to be growing up as a Latino or any minority in the United States at that time. And so they grew up speaking Spanish. They grew up embracing their heritage, but they felt like they were chastised, ridiculed of going through what they went through. So my parents had me when they were 35. My dad just turned 85, and they made a decision. My mom, I grew up, with my mom's Mexican great food, grew up with the culture, but unfortunately, my parents didn't really teach me Spanish, and I could understand it. I just couldn't really speak it, and the reason they told me that was because they didn't want me to go through what they went through. I met the mother of our children. Met her in Mexico, and she didn't speak any English, so I had to learn Spanish pretty quick, and able to communicate with her, and hopefully our relationship would evolve. Fast forward, she came to the United States a few years later after I'd met her, and we hit it off, and we had our son. And I didn't want my son to go through what I went through, so I made it a point to. He grew up. We immersed him in Spanish. I remember going to Mexico all the time, buying VHS cassettes in Spanish and DVDs, and that's how Joseph grew up. Joseph grew up learning Spanish, and I wanted him to embrace and feel proud as a growing up Latino. And so he didn't learn English until he went to elementary, and it worked out wonderful. He loves his culture, and he's a proud young Mexican American. 6 years later, after our son was born, we had our daughter, and did the same thing. She didn't learn English until she went to elementary. In fact, she actually was in ESL until the second grade, and so likewise, our daughter is a beautiful, bright young lady. She's going to be 19. She just graduated from Woodrow Wilson High School, the great Woodrow Wilson High School. That's where I went. I'm still very active with Woodrow. I'm the treasurer with the Alumni Association. Even though my daughter just graduated, I'm still going to participate in the SBDM committees. And why? Because I want to make sure that we have Latino representation in our Alumni Association and at the SBDM level. My son successfully, he also graduated from Woodrow as well in 2017. And proud to tell everyone that he graduated on time from the great University of Texas in Austin in 2021. He's got a steady career, steady job. He's doing really well, and he's happy. And I'm happy for him. And so my father went into law enforcement. He went into law enforcement basically when I was born. He got a late start in law enforcement at the age of 35. And believe it or not, he started with the Sheriff's Department here in Dallas County. He was a jailer. 2 years later, he successfully applied to become a deputy, and he became one. But before the Sheriff's Department, he actually was a reserve officer with the city of Dallas. And he met some individuals, and there was a detective that he knew that worked there. His name was Jesse R. Dawson. And my dad told me that he ran into him at the elevator, I believe at Crowley, or I don't remember where, or George Allen. And he said, "Hey, Richard, why don't you come work for me at the constable's office?" And at the time, my dad, a lot of people don't really know our job description entirely with the constable's office. So he decided to give it a shot. And he worked for the first African-American elected constable in Dallas County. And he quickly rose in the ranks there. He became a supervisor a few years into starting there. Then he, unfortunately, Jesse Dawson decided to not run again. And we had a new constable. His name was Joe Bagby. And my dad was there. I want to say like a year into working there, Joe Bagby made my dad his chief deputy. And my dad was actually one of the first ever Latino chief deputies for the constable's office in Dallas County. And, I had an idea of, I probably wanted to go in law enforcement, and I followed my footsteps, or my dad's footsteps. He was a Marine. I became a Marine. And I decided to start working in the constable's office. But this time around, when I started in the constable's office, I set a goal for myself. And I started with Dallas County Constable's Office, precinct number 6, which at the time, there was 8 precincts. And I set a goal for myself. I said, I want to be in this position one day. I want to be the department head. I want to be an elected official, because I took the initiative of learning each and every division of the constable's office, because I knew one day, hopefully, I would get that opportunity. And I did. I won my primary in the 2018 election primary. There was a runoff, and I successfully won. Thankfully, there was not a general election opponent. So I took office October 15th of 2018. My predecessor, for whatever reasons, decided to resign before her term started. So I was appointed to start. And let me tell you something, we hit the ground running. We implemented policies and procedures that have greatly increased productivity, created efficiency. And as a Latino, I'm currently the only Latino elected constable in Dallas County. And that's special to me. It means that people are watching us, and I want to make sure that we are the best. I want to be the best in Dallas County. I want to be the best in the state of Texas. I set out and want us to be the model precinct that people can replicate, so that not only can constables in Dallas County be successful, but statewide. Not only that, I've actually helped push and created a law that recently got passed this past year. I'd actually initially presented this idea to become a law back in the 2021 session. It had to do with domestic violence. And unfortunately, it did make it to the committee, but they never put it in the agenda. And I remember calling them all the time, begging them to put it on the agenda so I could go down there and argue for it. But it never happened. But I didn't give up. I presented my idea at the local level, because that's how much I believed in it. I knew that it would work. So I pitched my idea to the Dallas Police Department and the Dallas County Sheriff's Department. And they successfully implemented my idea in October of 2021 during Domestic Violence Awareness. And that's really neat. That is, we have created this information that gets disseminated so that victims of domestic violence are aware of the remedies that are there for them, that a lot of people don't know that existed in law, but now they do. And fast forward to the 2023 legislative session. Apparently there was a legislator that was on that committee that thankfully she embraced my idea, and she filed a bill similar to the one we had filed in 2021. So I reached out once again to our one of our local state reps, Honorable Carl Sherman, and he jumped immediately, co-sponsored it. But this time around, I did it the right way. I presented my idea to the JPCA, which is the Justice of the Peace Constables Association. They too embraced it, and they too made it a point to support it. And so I had the honor of traveling to Austin and successfully testifying before the House Committee on this bill, and also before the Senate Committee for this bill. The legislation decided to go with the Senate bill version, but the great news is that The governor signed off on it, and it went into effect immediately. It didn't have to wait till September 1st. And that bill is named after a special young woman in the Austin area. Her name's Natalia Cox. That unfortunately, if she would have had that information, it could have hopefully could have saved her life. She was a young, aspiring college student that was about to graduate and attend medical school. But unfortunately, that was taken away. But we obviously did something about it, and I'm so honored to know that I helped actually get a law passed. And that's not going to stop me. I'm going to continue coming up with other ideas for legislation that for the next session and even after that. But I'm just so honored and proud to be a Mexican American, and I'm just glad that we have this opportunity for all Americans for Hispanic Heritage Month, that fellow Americans can embrace and appreciate and learn our culture and learn about our heritage.